Maybe you saw it. A national news magazine recently proclaiming that jazz is back. Well, we're here to tell you jazz is here. We are pleased this morning to welcome the legendary jazz musician and composer Erroll Fatha Hines to the Today program. In our other hour, we're talking with him and jazz critic Stanley Dance, who's written a book on Erroll Hines. But right now we're going to hear from the man they call the Father with a tune called Monday Date. Mr. Hines. A little better than a chorus and a half of Monday Date, and we'll be back after a little better than a commercial and a half.
Time now is 14.5 minutes before the hour, and throughout much of this century, generations of Americans have been keeping time to the music of Erroll Fatha Hines, who is now the subject of a book called The World of Earl Hines, the biography of the living legend, Fatha Hines. As a jazz critic and historian, we have with us this morning Stanley Dance, who is also Erroll Fatha Hines' biographer, and we're going to be talking about the music of this great man and about his life as well. Fatha Hines, did you ever think when you were growing up in Pittsburgh or in the environs of Pittsburgh back around the turn of the century that someday at 71 you'd still be playing the piano and appearing on television, which was not even the gleam in anyone's eye at that time?
I had the slightest idea. Didn't know I was making history, and I'm kind of happy that I was able to do this. And I'm happy that I was able to have something that the public was looking for, and I'm happy to know that I was able to supply them with some of the things that I had in mind as far as playing piano is concerned and stage deportment. So it all works out where I'm a happy guy, and I hope everybody else is happy.
A lot of jazz musicians, of course, kind of picked up their instruments along the way, but you had kind of formal training. Your family was musical, yes, and they decided that, that you would play the piano, and you got lessons in those days.
Well, my mother played the organ, my father played cornet, and my uncle played all of the brass instruments, and my auntie was in light opera. So when my mother was playing the organ, I used to put the newspaper on the chair, and they found out and thought that I would make a nice pianist, so they changed the organ into the piano. And because I couldn't reach the pedals as far as the organ was concerned. And then my mother gave me my first few lessons, but they had the slightest idea that I was going to continue because the average youngster has certain things in mind and all of a sudden they drop it. But I got to the place where I loved the piano so much, I used to learn 4 and 5 lessons way ahead. So when the teacher came back, he finally got to the place that I can't teach this boy nothing else, he knows everything I got.
And at the same time, later in your life, you were training to become a barber.
Well, I did a little barber in the restaurant, tailoring. I did a little bit of everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? During those days, you had to. You know. Well, I tell you the truth about it. The commercial side wasn't coming in so fast.
Right.
See, and my father was giving me, seeing to it that I got lessons. But then we got to the place where the lessons were $10, then they got $20, and then we got to do a concert, and the boys, here's $10 in a box of handkerchiefs. The boy's a genius. He said I wasn't going to make it, so I had to find something else.
Well, Stanley Dance, he found something else, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
There's no question about the role of Father Hines in American jazz.
It's a long career, and an illustrious career, I think. 50 years of it.
It's not just that he plays so well, and we'll talk about him right in front of him here. It's not just that he plays so well, but he helped carve out a distinctive sound in American jazz.
Yes, very definitely. I think that's almost the most influential style in jazz piano that there has been. You know, he changed everything around from the time of the stride pianists like Fats Waller and James P. Johnson.
Tatum.
Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum took from Earl too.
Right.
You hear that in Tatum.
Well, let's hear a little bit of Father Hines, not just playing, but playing a medley kind of his own compositions. You Can Depend on Me, Blues in Thirds, and Rosetta. You've been doing that for about 60-some years now.
Wait a minute, don't rush me now, Bob.
No, I'm not rushing
Rush
you.
me, you're 60, 50.
50 years.
Yeah, I mean,
but you started
it's coming
as a young,
fast enough now.
But you started as a youngster. You're 71 years old now. You
Yeah.
started as a youngster playing
Yes,
the piano.
I did.
So you've been
And-
doing it for 60 years, in all fairness. You've
Well,
been playing
all right.
professionally for 50 years.
You're in a better position I am, I
That's
guess.
that's fine. But when you're away from the piano and you're not playing, do you hear it constantly in your mind? One of the things that fascinates me about jazz musicians especially is this ability to kind of hear the melody all the time. To hear the
No,
piano.
I think all musicians should do like I do. I was an athlete, you know, at one time, and an amateur boxer, and I like to get away from music because it gives me a chance. It's sort of refreshing my memory when I'm away from music and doing bowling or playing ball or tennis or something on that order. And then when I get back to piano, well, I'm always exploring when I'm playing the piano. I never try to play nothing the same, because I'm always trying to find something new. You never master a piano, you know. So I'm always trying to find something new, and that's what makes it interesting for me. So sometimes you see me playing and I'm smiling, I'm lost. I'm trying to get back.
Yeah. Well, you do pretty well. You always end up in the same place.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, sometimes, as long as I can hit that same chord, like I tell my rhythm section, as long as we hit the last note together, we're all right.
Mr. Dance, there were recently a series of reports in America that jazz is back, but jazz has never been away, has
That's
it?
right. That's right. Never.
And people like Fatha Hines keep it before us.
Right. I mean, it just goes up and down in popularity a little bit, but it's been here all the time.
Well, Tom, I've always said jazz is like a tree trunk.
Yeah.
See, you have a lot of branches that blossom out, and then they fold up, but it goes right back to that tree trunk.
I want you to tell one story. There are so many rich anecdotes in your book about your days as a club owner. You led a big band. You even had a string section in one of your bands at one time, and you owned your own club for a while. A girl string section. You had a lot of ups and downs. The fact is that you were playing your brand of music, and there was a young horn player by the name of Louis Armstrong who was playing his brand, and you met, and it was pretty much the same thing. You became very close pals.
That's right.
You played together for a long time. And you used to go out from time to time in Chicago after work and have what jazz musicians now call a taste or two. You'd go have a few drinks, and sometimes, what would happen to Louis? He would kind of fold up.
Well, no, Louis, it's a long story as far as Louis' part is concerned, but we always had a little place, a barbecue place in Chicago where we used to hang out, and then we'd always had a lot of fun together, and I don't know, Louis always carried his mouthpiece in his pocket, and we'd go into some of those clubs, and Louis said, "Listen to them cats up there trying to play, man. Let's go up and give them a few lessons." I said, "Now, you better let them boys alone. They're going to run into the wrong crowd one of these days, you know what I mean?" So he says, "All right." So we go in and sit up in jam session and just have a ball playing and getting interested in what others do. And we stole a lot, too. We stole a lot of ideas from different guys, you know what I mean? I'm going to be honest with you, we did.
Honest felon. But once in a while, he'd get a cracked lip or something, too, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, well, that that comes from different, I don't know, I think Louis, he used to have so many bottles of medicine, which I could never figure out how he would, which was which, you know. And I used to say to him, "What do you want all that?" But everything had a meaning to it.
Yeah.
So then he'd get this cracked lip, and he had that handkerchief all the time, you know. And so he said, "Why don't you take something?" I said, "Well, I'm not beating my lip like you. I'm beating my hand." I said, "Don't you use something for your hands?" I said, "No, just all I use in my hands is just playing around with some barbecue bones or something on that order."
Yeah.
And I said, "That's all that's necessary."
Great to have you here this morning. One of the distinguished American music careers, Earl Fatha Hines, now all documented in the book, The World of Fatha Hines. Thank you very much,
Tom.
and thank you, Mr. Dance. Lou Wood.